Or a sign could mean, hey, you're thinking negative thoughts right now. It's time to snap out of it. That's a big one for me early on my journey, is when I was so much in my ego. I would be thinking how to fix something in my life while I was doing the laundry or doing dishes. And then my eyes would catch the time and it would be 11:11 or it would be 2:22. And in the moment, I would go, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, because I did not see that I was just in my head. Hello, you beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Michelle. We talk all things life, love, spirituality, love, attraction, all of that juicy goodness. And today I just want to kind of go off on a little tangent about signs and the spiritual path and working with the universe to figure out your life path, right? Once we awaken, now we're realizing that, oh, we're not really in charge of where our life is going, but yet we're also the co-creator. So it's like having discernment between, wait, do I create my life or is it already planned out? And a lot of people newly on the journey struggle with this. And I say it's a combination of both. Sometimes our ego wants certain desires and it's not a part of our timeline. And those things will just keep not showing up. And then we eventually get very upset. And then we have to pivot and be like, okay. And that's why we have to surrender. And that's why that's a big term in the spiritual community, because at some point, you have to let go of your ego and your mind's desire of what it thinks it wants, because that might not be what's best for you. Because what's happening is, in the moment that you're thinking, well, I want X, Y, and Z, you might be thinking that from a wounding, right? Maybe you grew up in childhood and there was something that was going on and you felt so not seen, not understood. And now you're craving this thing that you think will make you feel seen and understood. But then you go through an ego death like 2 years later, right? And now you feel seen, you feel understood, and you're still trying to manifest that thing. But the universe is like, you don't need that anymore. You've conquered the mission. You already feel seen. You already feel understood. So why not go and manifest something else where you can use that to share that with the world? So do you see how that works? Sometimes we manifest things in a place of wounding when we're not aware that we're in the wounding. Then the ego falls away. Our more authentic self comes through because we're always evolving. We never get to like an end game. We're always delayering. And then when we take another layer off, we're like, oh, I don't need that thing that I thought was going to make me feel a certain way because I already feel that way right now. So then we have to look at signs, because signs can sometimes be saying like, hey, surrender. Surrender to us, surrender to your guides and your angels. They know what's best for you. So if you keep trying to go down this path and it's very hard and arduous and painful, and maybe you're trying to date somebody and they keep getting rerouted away from you, maybe they get stuck in traffic for hours, maybe something comes up and they have to, travel for work. And it's like the universe keeps pulling this person away from you and you keep trying to force it to happen. And you're getting all these signs during the process. Well, I would interpret that as maybe this person's not right for you right now. It's not easy. It's not effortless. I've been with people where the universe literally makes us bump into each other in a TJ Maxx or we bump into each other at the airport. That's divine guidance. That's divine timing. And if you're not experiencing this on your current path, and it's more difficult and it's more struggle and you have to work so hard, it's exhausting, that could be an ego's desire. And the signs that you're seeing in that process, getting stuck in traffic is a sign. An angel number is a sign. And it's a sign to say, I'm stuck in traffic, see the angel number, let me surrender and trust this and not get upset and try to force my way out of it. So signs hold such a beautiful frequency because there's so many meanings that you can make of a simple sign. And as you can see in my video, I love hearts. My daughter passed away in 2012. And those signs for me during that time, I wasn't spiritually awakened, but they kept me going. When I was having a really sad day and then out of nowhere, my phone would light up and it would be like an email from a parent saying, thank you so much for sharing your story with my child at school today. They came home and they found a heart and I wanted to send it to you. And in that moment, I was just grieving for my daughter and a parent was sending me an email of a picture of a heart. Like, how cool is that? So those moments kept me going. It was like my daughter saying, Mom, I see you crying and I'm going to send you love right now. So signs can mean that. Signs can mean like, hey, surrender, relax where you are. Or a sign could mean, hey, you're thinking negative thoughts right now. It's time to snap out of it. That's a big one for me early on my journey, is when I was so much in my ego. I would be thinking how to fix something in my life while I was doing the laundry or doing dishes. And then my eyes would catch the time and it would be 11:11 or it would be 2:22. And in the moment I would go, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because I did not see that I was just in my head trying to fix something that can't be fixed, and spirit will fix it for me. So in that moment, I would use those angel numbers as a guide to go within, ask myself, what was I just thinking about? So the signs pull you into the present moment. Even my hearts did that for me too. It pulls me out of my grief and it pulls me into the present moment, and it makes me be grateful for what I do have. And it allows me to see my thoughts, to not let the mind loop and loop and loop. And the universe is so loving. It loves you guys so freaking much. And it wants to communicate to you. And so many people get frustrated with the signs because they always think it's leading to millions, right? They always think it's leading to this thing that your wounding is trying to chase. Yes, millions are great to have because it's freedom and you have more options in life and more security. But wouldn't you rather be the person that went without it for a bit, to really find that real security in your faith and in your trust in the universe? And you learned how to navigate all the signs. You learned what they meant. If you were secure with millions in the bank and if your life was just like set, you wouldn't learn anything. So embracing the journey and embracing all of these synchronicities that are leading you closer to you and what you want. And they're also guiding you away from what's not best for you. So again, when there's struggle, when there's a lot of difficulty with the situation, things are just not panning out, usually that's a sign. Take your hands off the wheel and say, okay, let's pause on this right now and let's see how it unfolds. Let's see what comes of this. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I create videos and Mercury's going retrograde and all these things are happening and electronics are not working, right? But I love creating content. So I'm not going to stop doing that just because I'm getting some resistance, but I will stop temporarily. So if I tried to record this and say I hit record and something keeps happening, and I would say, all right, let me pause for an hour. Let me go do something else, distract. Let me go get some sunshine. Maybe my vibration wasn't good and my guides are telling me that and I didn't know it. Because as you know, when we post content, I want my vibration to be as high as it can be so that I can elevate all of you. And maybe I wasn't in a good state at that time, and the electronics were sending me a sign saying, not right now, Michelle. Go make yourself feel good, go nurture yourself. Or maybe you don't need to serve other people right now. Maybe you need to rest. So there's so many different ways we can interpret it. And the beauty of this journey is you get to interpret it in whatever way that you want to. And the only way to learn how to do it for yourself is to watch other people, to learn from other people who are further on the path. Hearing examples, listening to books. There's so much more content out there nowadays than there was back in like 2012 and 2018 when a lot of people were starting to spiritually awaken. We didn't have all of this. There's so much available for all of you right now that it's your job to put your consciousness in a place of learning and growing and healing and elevating and resting. Okay. I had 5 clients in the past 2 days message me to cancel appointments because they are feeling so run down. They're feeling so tired. And I told them, like, honor that, listen to that, because guess what happens? A lot of times when we rest our vibration, the healing is still happening. But now the mind is out of the mix. The mind's not trying to do the healing. It's not trying to do the work. And you're able just to rest. That's when you get your energetic upgrades, right? That's when you go, it's like you're shutting down the computer, right? And then maybe in 3 days, you're going to reboot it again. And I watched a podcast the other day by Sahara Rose. It was so good. It was talking about energy leaks. And she said something, there was one sentence she said that was so profound for me. And sometimes I think my signs are guiding me to do this and I don't do it. But if you think about it, texting is so abnormal for our energy. So if you open up your phone And if you go through all the messages, if you were to count how many messages are kind of open-ended, like where you leave a conversation and you don't really close it, count it. You might have 20, you might have 60, and that is an energy leak. So it's siphoning your energy, knowing that there's a pending conversation. And that person could ping you. They could say, oh, so sorry, I meant to get back to you. And now you're obligated again to open up that energy cord to communicate. Well, the cord was never closed. So that's a cord, literally. If you guys can think about that, think about maybe you have 20 windows in your text window, 20 conversations that are open where there's not really a closure, like, I'll talk to you later, have a wonderful day, see ya. Like, that's a closure, right? So if you go through your messages and you don't see that as the last message, and it's just somebody said something and somebody else forgot to respond, that's an open cord. So each one of those cords, guess what's happening right now while you're listening to this? There's energy seeping out. Your energy is leaking. Okay. And even when you open up social media and you're watching somebody else's story, you've now attached a cord to that person because you're thinking about them, you're visualizing them, you're having a comment in your head about them. So we want to clean up our field. And I believe a lot of people get sick because they're unaware of this. And they have so many open cords and they're giving and giving and giving, and they have kids and they have family members, and anybody's calling them at any moment, and they feel like the people pleaser in them has to answer, because if they don't answer, the inner child in them is going to get in trouble. So I love to teach my feminine clients, because that's all who I work with. I only work with women, and some of them have stronger masculine energy than feminine, and we help them balance it out. But I teach them, like, you do not have to respond to a text at any time. A text is like somebody knocking on your door saying, answer now. Okay. And it doesn't mean that that person has that energy, that they're persistent and they're like, barging in, but an energy cord of a text coming into your phone feels like that to your body. So when you learn to see something come into your phone and say, not right now, I will respond when I'm in a clear energy and I'm ready to open the cord, right? Because you have to consent to opening that cord. So sometimes it's great to have your notifications where it just says notification of a text and not the person and not the message, so that you're not entangled into the message when it comes through. So I know for me on my journey, I would get signs that I was overcooked. I was exhausted. I was tired. And my signs were like rest. And I would see a billboard and it was like somebody sleeping and said, it's time to rest. And I'm like, okay, spirit, I hear you. But I was like, well, I'm not sick. I'm not tired. Why do I need to rest? And looking back after I listened to that podcast, I was like, that's me. I am so giving and so loving, and I coach so many different people, and it's like cyclical. Like, I'll coach a woman for like maybe 3 months, then she'll go off and fly on her own and she'll be doing amazing. And then she'll bump into me back in like 2 months and ask for another session. Right. So I have probably like 40 people that are like that in that window. And every once in a while, they might not be asking for a session, but they'll check in with me and they'll say, hey, how are you? And I do it. I love it. I love my clients. They become my friends. Um, after we work together, it's like literally like they're like family in a work setting. So you become entangled and you want to know how they're doing, and you ask about their kids and their spouses and their jobs. And like, I genuinely care about all of these people. But on an energetic standpoint, my nervous system can't hold that many people, right? Like, I can't do that every single day or every week or every month. So I was being shown signs. I was getting so many hearts one week, and then I kept seeing all these signs about rest. I'm like, what does it mean, spirit? What are you trying to tell me? And then I found the podcast, and it was, close out your cords. So I want to encourage all of you to do it kindly, do it gently, maybe even tell somebody like, hey, like, I don't want to text all the time. This is what Sahara said in her video or her podcast. She was like, tell your friends you'd rather hop on a 10, 20-minute Zoom call rather than sending voice memos back for 3 days straight, because it's a draining energy. It's an energy leak. Where if you just don't talk for those 3 days and then you actually spend time together and you see each other's facial expressions and you want to connect on Zoom, like, you hop on for 20 minutes and then you hop off, and you don't have to have a fear about being on Zoom for a long period of time, because you have boundaries and you can say, hey, I have 20 minutes. Do you want to hop on, or let's schedule a morning coffee date and we can drink our coffee and just talk? Me and my friend Avi do that every once in a while. She lives in the UK, and sometimes we schedule Zoom calls because we're like, we need to see each other, or like we pull cards for each other. But I also don't know how to balance my energy right now. I'm still learning how to do it. And the universe is always leading us to what we need. So I was getting signs that I needed to do this. And then I asked, and that's another thing you guys can do, is you can ask Spirit, universe, what are you trying to show me? And then boom, I found the podcast. So that's how these signs can be helpful for you. And they can also be telling you that you're headed in the wrong direction. You're overexerting yourself. You need to pull back your tentacles, as I like to say. And a big part of the spiritual journey is discernment and loving yourself. And some people will see what I'm talking about as selfish and, oh my gosh, she didn't respond to my text for 4 days. What kind of coach is she? And I believe that's their interpretation of it. They don't understand what it's like to be in my body. They don't know how many clients I do have. They don't understand what my life and my bubble looks like. And that's okay. And I don't have to worry about that, because if they fall away, then they're meant to fall away. And hopefully they'll learn that lesson one day too. Hopefully they will turn into the coach that I believe that they can be. And they'll have to balance so many clients with so many emotions, and you want to support everybody, but they might learn eventually, wow, I understand what Michelle was talking about now, because now I'm trying to balance it all with a family, with whatever, and it's hard. So always be gentle when your mind and ego starts to judge somebody else on their spiritual path. You don't know what it's like to be in their bubble. I had this awesome visual the other day. I'm going to create a video about it. If you think about like in like a news studio where there's all these TV screens, right? Say there's like 20 TV screens. And I had this vision of, everybody has their own screen. Like I'm in my own TV screen, and that's my movie. It's my TV show. It's my bubble. And everybody else's thoughts and feelings and stuff doesn't affect it because it's a different show, right? It's on a different TV. So I'm living in my bubble doing my own thing, and other people's things and thoughts and feelings doesn't have to affect me. But I have to be the deciding factor of that. I have to put up my boundaries, because I believe before we awaken, those TV screens are all one, and it's all interconnected, and there's so many ties and cords between everybody, and everybody's immersed in everybody's life trying to fix everybody else. But when I saw this visual of everybody is separate, like we're all one, but we're still separate because we need to have boundaries, because energy is energy and it can be immersed too much. And I am somebody who can feel into somebody else's psyche and their body and their energy, and I can feel what it feels like to be them. That's one of my gifts, being clairsentient. So I definitely have to have strong boundaries. And I believe if you're watching my channel, then you're like me. There's a small layer of you where you're a feeler and you feel everything and you sense everything. It is going to be super important for you to cut these energetic cords and to follow the signs and to use your discernment on the journey. It is so, so, so important, because you will end up sick or exhausted or burned out if you don't follow what your soul is really wanting you to do and where it wants you to go and who it wants you to pull your energy back from. And that's part of the spiritual path is, we do have to have jobs and we have to feed ourselves and we have to do that. But then there's this underlayer of spiritual maintenance of, okay, now on an energetic level, what are my needs here? What text can I close out? Where can I be radically honest with somebody and say, hey, I'm going to close out my phone for a bit. I love you. I'll text you to reach out. If it's an emergency, you're more than welcome to text me, or if you have something you really want to share. But if you could just give me space for a little bit, I'm going to do some healing. I'm going to rest. And you just be radically honest and ask for space. And I believe honesty is the most beautiful part of our journey, is because we're setting a boundary, we're being sovereign, and we're asking for our needs to be met. And we were not taught how to do this as kids. And it's super important to do it now. And the right people will love you and they'll say, girl, take your time. I am always here no matter what. And I like to be that person for all of my clients and my friends. I'm like, you could not text me for 6 months and jump into my phone and ask to hang out, and I'd be there in a heartbeat, because I know that I don't need anything from anybody. The people that get upset, they're in a wounding, needing something from you. And that's because they're just further back on the journey and they have more healing to do, because they did feel that way in childhood. And no shame. I was there too. I was somebody who was always like mad when people didn't text me back, or people didn't text me on my daughter's anniversary. Like my mind was always angry about those things. But now I'm in a space where I don't need those things because I love myself and I honor my daughter, and I don't need it from anybody else. It feels good. It feels great to be seen, but I'm not sitting around worried about whether somebody's going to do it or not, because then my happiness is in their hands. And if they don't do something, I'm crumbling on the floor. So I learned the hard way. So a little advice there too, make sure you don't have any expectations from anybody. I try to live my life expectation free. And it's actually so abundant that way because you start to receive so much more, because energy is energy, right? People will feel your expectation. It's so obvious. And people are learning nowadays that energy is energy and people can read your energy. And when you feel a disconnect from somebody, it's because they're sensing it. So we have to really clean up our street. We have to clean up our cords and be honest. Don't send the manipulative text. Like, just say, hey, I'm really hurt that you didn't check in on me, but also think, why am I hurt? Why do I need somebody else to check in on me? How can I just nurture myself? Right. And if it's a partner or if it's like a best friend or somebody where they normally do that, and I would think that's a reasonable thing to say. If it's a partner or a best friend, you're allowed to feel a little like, oh man, like I thought they'd show up for me, or, this is the type of partner that I want, or this is the type of best friend that I want. But you cannot have these expectations on people in social settings, extended family, healers, teachers. You're not their responsibility. You are your own sovereign being, and you can love yourself and you can give yourself everything you need. You do not need anybody else to give you anything. I always say, and I learned it from Aaron Abke, is giving is proof of having. So when you think you don't have something and when you think you need something from somebody, maybe you should give it first, and then it will fill your cup up. Giving and being kind and giving compliments, that actually fuels us. And a lot of people don't know that. And one of my favorite quotes that I used to have on my classroom wall all the time was, giving is the antidote to emptiness. So I would always teach my students, when you feel depressed, when you have anxiety, when you don't feel good, as long as you're not an overgiver, if you're not an overgiver and you're in that state, it's always good to step out of your pain and give to somebody else. And then the cycle will flow back in. You'll start to receive the thing that you've been yearning for. And now you're going to feel full. You're going to feel like your cup is full and you're like, yes, this is it. And it's because you gave. You gave when you didn't think you had anything to give. Okay, so I'm going to end this video here. I know it was kind of all over the place, but that's how my videos are. I'm always just riffing and going off of whatever spirit wants me to say. And it is so important right now for all of you to rest, to clean up your street, clean up the cord, clean up your energy, nurture yourself, and really start to take action on the things that are best for you, because we need you and we need your light. And follow the signs. The signs are leading you to that highest path. Okay. And there's so much fun once you learn your dynamic and your language with the universe. It becomes this endless like scavenger hunt. And it doesn't need to leave you feeling like, oh no, my manifestation's not coming. If you feel that at all, you are slipping into ego. Okay, so we want to clean that up and say, nope, everything is always here for me. The manifestations are always coming. If I'm manifesting something from wounding, I'm going to surrender and say, Spirit, if that's not for me, then like keep it away from me, or take this urge for it out of me. Because you guys, desiring something is a lower frequency than anger. So when you're thinking that you need something and you desire it so bad, that is like pushing everything away. So you want to move out of desiring into, I have everything. I give everything I have. I am full. I feel good. I have zero expectations. Okay. That's the main point I want to leave you with. Follow the signs and zero expectations. You have everything you need inside of you. And the proof is in the giving. Go give it, and then it's proof of having. All right, lovies, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell if you want to work with me. Everything is in the comments. I'm sending you so much love. All right, peace out.